1 week into the 2025-26 season, the Pittsburgh Steelers were riding high on offense. They just hung 34 points on the New York Jets, with quarterback Aaron Rodgers enjoying a 4-touchdown performance against his old team. Life comes at you fast in the NFL, though, as Pittsburgh learned in Week 2. Sunday's performance against the Seattle Seahawks was anything but quality. The Steelers struggled, looking like a shell of themselves from a week prior. Which version is the real one? Rodgers believes it's the former, but some serious improvement must take place. Aaron Rodgers explains Steelers' need for early down improvement. Speaking to the media on Sunday, Rodgers emphasized the need to be better on early downs. It isn't something one specific person can fix. Ahead of Week 3's outing versus the New England Patriots, it'll be a group effort. "Yeah, we have to run a little better," Rodgers said. "I have to be a little more effective at throwing the football. We have to do our job. I think if you go back and watch the film, which we will tonight and tomorrow, we were close in a lot of plays, and it was probably one person. Sometimes it was me, sometimes it's somebody in front. Sometimes it's the perimeter. We just got to own our mistakes and be very accountable to each other, and take this kick in the chin the right way and be a professional about it, and come to work this week and move on, and get ready for New England." Indeed, those early down struggles were real. According to advanced box score data from rbsdm.com, Pittsburgh's EPA/play in those situations, -0.10, ranked in the 28th percentile. They were close to mediocre on passes, 0.04, 40th percentile, but failed miserably on runs, -0.29, 17th percentile. The offense's overall percentage of first downs, 21, ranked in the 6th percentile. It's safe to say Sunday was a stark contrast from Week 1. Rodgers is far from worried given how early it is, but the laundry list of things to work on is growing. Rodgers not concerned with taking hits early in season. There is one underlying element of Rodgers' start to the season that's cause for concern if you're a Steelers fan. Pressure is getting to him. In just 2 games, the future Hall of Fame man has been sacked 7 times already. That isn't a sustainable pace, and it sits tied for the 4th most among field generals through Sunday night's play. Rodgers was dreadful against pressure in Pittsburgh by just about every countable measure. Maintaining the same steady mindset, however, he doesn't seem apprehensive about getting hit. "I have to look at the film," Rodgers said. "I'm not trying to take a lot of shots. I feel like I was moving a little bit better today, but, we've got to protect it. Get the ball out, get open on time. Sometimes the coverage dictates holding on to the ball a little bit longer, but it's on all of us. I've got to get rid of the ball, we've got to get open, got to hang on up front." Only time will tell if that stance changes. At age 41, Rodgers doesn't have the same escapability as a passer. His mobility is limited, especially after tearing his Achilles tendon in 2023 with the Jets. A stiff back made that glaringly obvious in Week 1, and while he appeared to be more spry in Week 2, no one should expect him to get out of sack scenarios. It's a long season, so the Steelers have ample time to fix their issues. Part of that long season must entail keeping their quarterback upright and healthy, though. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a 1-1 record through 2 weeks, but this doesn't feel like the team we expected to see. Instead of a stifling defense and dominance in the trenches and on the ground, we have had to rely on an elderly Aaron Rodgers to carry this team. We just saw against the Seahawks, this model won't work. There are plenty of people to blame right now for this bad start. The Week 1 high-scoring affair was a fun but concerning watch. Ideally, you make adjustments to counter a Seahawks team that looked perfectly beatable. Instead, this was the same team as a week before, sans the passing game being far worse. Unsurprisingly, Pittsburgh lost this game. However, one core name in the coaching staff can be circled as a major problem that should have been fixed in the offseason. Plenty of fans were calling for his head, yet the Steelers decided to keep him for another season. This looks like a colossal mistake right now. The Pittsburgh Steelers should have fired offensive line coach Pat Meyer. Pat Meyer was an underwhelming offensive line coach hire when it was announced. Bouncing around the league, his units were never much above average. However, the Steelers entrusted him with developing their next great offensive line. That hasn't materialized. Despite heavy investments through both free agency and the draft, This unit has been playing some horrendous football. Broderick Jones is the easy name to pick on. His blunders have been consistent, and while he can match those with some good reps, his overall body of work is inconsistent and bad. He isn't the only issue right now. Troy Fautanu looked pretty mediocre through 2 games. Veteran Isaac Sekumalo has completely faded and may be playing his last season in the league. Meanwhile, Zach Frazier and Mason McCormick haven't taken any steps forward after their rookie season. 2 first-round picks, a second and fourth-round pick, as well as at the time of the contract, highly paid guard, and this unit is falling apart. Pass rushers are getting home, while the run blocking is atrocious. Meyer had plenty of critics calling for him to be fired, myself included, during this past offseason. Instead, he became a sitting duck because of this franchise's weird unwillingness to fire coaches. Meyer had 1 year left on his contract. Instead of firing him in 2025, they will just opt not to renew his contract in 2026. They have gone down this path time in and time out. Heck, we even saw it with Matt Canada, although the team wisely decided to cut ties with him midway through another putrid season. This team doesn't fire coaches, and once again, it is costing them. Jones is likely playing his way into a backup role next year. Offensive tackle will once again be a top priority. Sumalo will also be gone, meaning a new guard will be needed. You could have given a new coach the chance to start molding these players this year. Instead, you stayed put with one with a track record of mediocrity. It is costing the Steelers now, as their blocking has been putrid. The long-term ramifications are even worse, as this group will be further behind in development and struggling to get caught up. Despite heavy investments in this room, we may need another reset. Disagree with my article? Instead of just yelling into an abyss, send an email and let's discuss. Tyreek Hill is one of the most electrifying players in the NFL. There's no denying that. Since arriving in Miami via trade in 2022, he has lived up to the hype, posting back-to-back 700-plus yard seasons and giving the Dolphins one of the most dangerous offensive weapons in the league. However, as the Dolphins look to build a sustainable contender around quarterback Tua Tagovailoa and a top-heavy roster, it may be time to consider an unpopular, yet potentially wise move: trading Hill to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a second-round draft pick. Here's why such a move could make sense for Miami in the short and long term. Tyreek Hill to the Steelers proposal. Tyreek Hill signed a 4-year, $120 million extension with the Dolphins, which made him the highest-paid wide receiver in NFL history at the time. While Miami restructured parts of the deal to lower his cap hits in the early years, the back end of his contract balloons into difficult territory, over $30 million annually. The Dolphins already face tough decisions with key players such as Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Waddle, and Mike McDaniel. Retaining this young core while carrying Hill's massive cap hit will be nearly impossible without sacrificing roster depth elsewhere. By trading Hill now, especially to a team like the Steelers who are often willing to take on big contracts, the Dolphins can gain critical cap flexibility. A second-round pick would give Miami another young, cost-controlled player to support its evolving roster. The offense won't collapse without him. Hill's speed and playmaking ability are undeniable, but the Dolphins' offense, designed by Mike McDaniel, is highly system-based and built around timing, motion, and mismatches. Jalen Waddle has emerged as a legitimate WR1 caliber player himself, and Miami has shown the ability to generate explosive plays without over-relying on Hill. With a creative scheme and continued investment in the offensive line and run game, Miami could replace Hill's production by committee. Trading Hill wouldn't mean rebuilding, it would mean rebalancing. Diminishing returns and age curve. Tyreek Hill is 31 years old this season. While he's still producing at an elite level, NFL wide receivers tend to see a sharp decline in performance in their early 30s, particularly those who rely on elite speed as their primary weapon. Miami could find itself paying top dollar for declining production in a year or two. Trading him while his value is still high avoids this risk. A second-round pick might not seem like a huge return, but considering his age, cap hit, and the wide receiver market's volatility, it's a reasonable offer, especially from a team like the Saints, who are known to mortgage future assets for win-now moves. Sell high, buy smart. Good organizations know when to buy low and sell high. Hill has performed at an elite level, but that's precisely why now is the moment to move him. His value may never be higher, and Miami, having built a strong roster and offensive identity, is in a position to move from stars and flash to depth and balance. A second-round pick may not feel like enough, but it's not about matching talent for talent. It's about reallocating resources. By moving Hill, Miami gets younger, more flexible, and more sustainable, all while avoiding a possible long-term financial anchor. Final thoughts. Trading a superstar is never easy. Tyreek Hill has been a transformative player for the Dolphins and a fan favorite. But if the goal is long-term contention rather than short-term flash, now may be the time for Miami to make a bold, forward-thinking move. Swapping Hill for a second-rounder from the Saints might feel like a step back today, but in the NFL, tomorrow's wins are built on today's hard decisions.